Tinkaton has been available in Pokemon Go for just over a week, and it already just won 2 regional championships in the same weekend. Tinkaton arrived with massive expectations, with its typing and moveset promising to break up the top meta core of Azumarill plus Shadow Drapion that had been terrorizing the meta for many months. And at this most recent regional in Seville, it did just that. Tinkaton arrived to the meta at its first eligible tournament in top 5 usage on 30% of teams. This is a pretty high number when you consider the extremely limited time frame that battlers had to acquire this Pokemon and to trade it to try and get optimal PvP IVs. And we do see the top meta core that it's targeting, Shadow Drapion and Azumarill, at first and third on the usage respectively. But day 1 usage at a regional, to me, is not usually indicative of success, as anyone can bring any Pokemon. I'm more curious about what it looks like when we take a look at the usage for Top Cut. So if we take a look at day 2 usage for Seville, it's a very different story. Tinkaton was on 30% of teams day 1, but almost double that, 58% of teams in day number 2. So, bringing this new Pokemon in its first tournament that it was eligible for proved to be a winning strategy. Today, I'll be taking a look at some selected matches from Seville, showcasing the power of Tinkaton. Because it is a new Pokemon, we're not too familiar with it yet, but I think it's interesting to learn what it can do in a competitive context. The first match we'll be taking a look at is the group finals between Patoman and Marco Shiny. So this, at this point in the tournament, is top 12 overall. Pato's running a team with Jellicent, Golisopod, Charjabug, Gastrodon, Tinkaton, and Talonflame. Interesting choice here of running Flame Charge on Talonflame over Fly, Tinkaton running what is by now the established meta moveset of Fairy Wind, Bulldoze, and Play Rough. Now, Bulldoze is not a particularly great move, but it gives Tinkaton an ability to potentially debuff defense and have faster pacing than Heavy Slam. For Marcos, he's running a team of Clodsire, Shadow Annihilate, Cordilli, Shadow Feraligatr, Azumarill, and Shadow Drapion. The leads are set, and it's going to be Golisopod for Patoman into Shadow Feraligatr for Marco Shiny. This is an amazing lead matchup for Golisopod, as Golisopod is of course able to resist Feraligatr's entire moveset while spamming out neutral hard-hitting X-Scissors in return. We are going to see a shield from the Feraligatr. Feraligatr looking to preserve HP in this matchup. Golisopod is taking massive damage from the Shadow Claws. Hydro Cannon being launched by the Feraligatr, but this is resisted damage. Patoman realizes this, so he is going to elect to let this go. Golisopod gets to fire off the X-Scissor, and now Marcos has to double shield if he wants this Feraligatr energy. That's exactly what he's going to do. Patoman doesn't really want to concede the farm down, so he aggressively pivots into Gastrodon. Gastrodon is going to be answered by Cordilli. Gastrodon really does not enjoy going up against Grass-type Pokemon, but here Marcos makes a very interesting decision. He actually decides to overfarm and let the Earth Power land. This is going to mean that he exits the matchup with more energy, but he is going to exit the matchup down a lot of HP. For Patoman, he can decide to let the Gastrodon go here, as he would have to double shield since there are back-to-back Grass Knots available. But now, the star of the show, Tinkaton, gets to hit the field. Tinkaton is a complete wall to energy from Cordilli. And if we see Marcos' third Pokemon, it is Shadow Drapion, another one of the Pokemon that Tinkaton is looking to completely destroy. Tinkaton is going to be double debuffed now by back-to-back Rock Tombs, but the Rock Tombs don't really apply any shield pressure. Tinkaton still not even at half HP. We see a switch out into Golisopod to reset that debuff, and back in comes Tinkaton. Tinkaton will be launching a Bulldoze at the Shadow Drapion. 2 Bulldozes plus the Fairy Winds should be enough to knock out. We do not see a debuff come through. It is a 50-50 chance at a debuff. Patoman does have to keep in mind there is a charge attack loaded on that Shadow Feraligatr, so he is going to have to keep at least one shield on the Tinkaton. Tinkaton, unfortunately, this isn't quite Bulldoze range, so Pato is going to be no shielding, and this is going to be a very close end game. Tinkaton very low, but Poison Stings do such little damage. Going for the Bulldoze. Bulldoze will be able to KO the Drapion. Feraligatr does have a charge attack loaded, but that will not impact this endgame. Marcos needs a catch. He needs the play rough to not land on the Feraligatr. The Tinkaton is one off of the move, so this is going to be very tough. Marcos brings in Feraligatr, waits, switches, tries for the catch, but great patience by Pato Man. The fist pump as he farms down Cradilly. Tinkaton took so many hits throughout that game from Cradilly, from the Drapion, and on very low HP. It's going to secure him a 2-0 victory and advancing into Top Cut. The next match we'll be taking a look at is Pato Man versus Boria. While Pato is running a newer style team, Boria is running a lot of old meta picks like Diggersby, Malamar, Clodsire, Shadow Jumpluff, Shadow Feraligatr, and a newer pick in Lapras. The leads are set for game number 1. It's going to be Tinkaton for Pato Man, but it's a nightmare lead leading into Diggersby. Pato does have 2 better responses in the back, so he will safe switch into the Golisopod, and that is going to be met with the Shadow Jumpluff from Boria. Now, Shadow Jumpluff has a pretty dominating matchup here. He is going to be clicking the acrobatics on the CMP tie. This line with double water in the back is designed to bait out Jumpluff to try and free up a Jellicent in the back, but even with Jumpluff out of the way, Feraligatr would be a nightmare, so Pato will actually commit a shield. It looks like he's going to try and make a play for switch advantage. He nods as he's very happy with the fact that he was able to shield the nuke move. Aerial Ace is going to be clicked. It's a CMP tie with the X-Scissor. Pato, if he wants switch, is going to have to concede both shields in this matchup, as unfortunately, X-Scissor does not knock out. Pato's looking at the team sheet, trying to decide. He decides he's going with a double shield. There's an aggressive switch from Boria into Feraligatr, and Feraligatr is actually not going to be answered by Pato. Pato going to stay in this matchup. This is the regular Feraligatr. The broadcast graphic does have it wrong. Regular Feraligatr Hydro Cannon does not KO, and Pato is at back-to-back X-Scissors. X-Scissor number 1 is going to be launched at this Feraligatr. Feraligatr will expend a shield, and now we will see a quick switch out at the last second into Tinkaton. Tinkaton will have a short window of time before the switch clock is available for Boria, so for Pato, he needs damage on this Feraligatr to try and get value from the Tinkaton. Hydro Cannon is going to connect. Tinkaton, very, very bulky, going to fire off the play rough, and now Boria has to decide where does the final shield go. Boria is going to elect to let this go. Play rough connects. Feraligatr barely clinging on with 1 hit point remaining, and now in comes Diggersby. Diggersby going to be hit with a Bulldoze. Bulldoze is never a particularly threatening attack, but it always has the 50% chance of a defense drop. The Bulldoze does get the defense drop, so now Diggersby will be taking substantially more damage until it switches out to reset that debuff. The Bulldoze is reached. Tinkaton winning the CMP tie here against Diggersby. Bulldoze is going to connect. We see a second debuff. These debuffs are not particularly impactful since this is already pretty close to surf range, but it can be a little demoralizing to have your Pokemon consistently debuffed. And now we are going to see the Jellicent hit the field. Immediate Scorching Sands by the Diggersby. Scorching Sands has a 30% chance to lower the opponent's attack. Can Boria get a debuff here? The answer is no. The debuff is unsuccessful. Boria, will we see a catch attempt? There it is, onto the Jumpluff. Jumpluff is going to get hexed down, and the Jellicent now has 2 surfs. This is a problem for Boria. Boria, at this point, he cannot switch. He is switch locked when he sends the next Pokemon onto the field. Sends in the Diggersby. Pato knows he can very safely fire off Double Surf. Boria is going to no shield. Surf is just going to do so much damage here. Diggersby barely hangs on. Another Surf is reached. Boria can shield, but if you remember from earlier, Pato saved a move on Golisopod. Golisopod strikes while the iron's hot. The combo play. Boria unable to get that charge attack off as he loses the charge attack priority tie. Aqua Jet KOs the Diggersby. Feraligatr gets Shadow Claw down, and that's a game 1 win for Pato. We move into game number 2. Tinkaton on the lead once again, but this time it finds a target in Malamar. Psywave is resisted. Malamar would take super effective damage. There's a safe switch into Diggersby, but Diggersby is immediately punished by Jellicent. Diggersby, unfortunately, its quick attacks are double resisted here, so it is very limited fast move pressure, and it's staring down super effective damage each time Jellicent fires off Surf. It looks like Diggersby can survive 2 Surfs, not particularly well, but it will barely be able to hang on. Scorching Sands fired in retaliation. Pato with the no shield. Scorching Sands lands. There is the 30% chance at an attack drop. Fortunately, this is not a particularly impactful attack drop just because it's not going to change the amount of surfs needed to KO this Diggersby. Diggersby now deep into the red. It's healthier than it would have been without the debuff, but either way, it looks like Diggersby would have been able to hang on there. Another Scorching Sands launched by the Diggersby, another no shield by the Jellicent. This time no attack drop. There's an aggressive switch into the Malamar, quickly answered with Tinkaton. But the Malamar now does have an energy advantage. Tinkaton farming up so much energy here, going for a play rough, full sending it. Boria thinking through his options here. Does he decide to call it? He does not. A last second shield, and that pays off as that is the move that he had to protect against. Now Pato with a difficult decision. Is this the superpower? Is it a bait? He lets it go. Superpower lands. That is neutral damage onto Tinkaton. But it looks like Tinkaton will not actually get knocked out here. Look at the bulk on this Pokemon. This is a second neutral superpower. Tinkaton refusing to get KO'd, making it to a second play rough. My goodness, Tinkaton just dominating this matchup against Malamar, even winning it when the opponent committed a shield and Tinkaton did not. Out comes Clodsire, answered with the Golisopod, and this is looking dire for Boria. Boria, even with the energy lead, is going to get outpaced. Golisopod's straight 5 pacing is so incredibly consistent. Aqua Jet lands into the Clodsire. Clodsire continues to farm. Clodsire will have to throw right here. If it threw any more poison stings, it would have gone over 100 energy, which is the cap. Pato is going to use his shield here, as he still had 2 shields up until that moment. He waits the turn to visually watch the poison sting go through, that way guaranteeing Boria did not get a catch. The Aqua Jet is going to be shielded up. Clodsire just in a position that is unrecoverable. Another Stone Edge, another immediate shield from Pato. Pato knows he's completely in the driver's seat in this game number 2. Golisopod still so incredibly healthy. There's the catch attempt by the Diggersby. Golisopod is going to farm up to the back-to-back Aqua Jets, and that's going to be a 2-0 win for Pato Man. Pato Man was able to perfectly leverage Tinkaton in both of these games. The pairing of Tinkaton and Water types proving to be a winning one, as Pato is going to punch his ticket to the Winners Finals. Pato's trip to Winners Finals, unfortunately, was a short one. His opponent had Unova Stunfisk, a Pokemon that beat 5 of the 6 Pokemon on Pato's team. So Pato was defeated and sent to Losers Finals, which is a rematch against Boria. This time, Pato did not lean on the Tinkaton. And this was a close series, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2. And now we prepare for game number 5. So far, Pato in the Losers Finals has not brought Tinkaton. Instead, he had been relying on other Pokemon like the Jellicent and the Talonflame. But for this decisive game number 5, he turns to Tinkaton, and it picks up a great lead leading into Shadow Jumpluff. Now, Boria is running a team that is not a big fan of seeing Tinkaton. He's forced to send in Lapras. Lapras can potentially win this matchup in certain shielding scenarios, but Tinkaton can survive 2 Sparkling Arias and the Psywaves, so it's not a particularly comfortable matchup. Pato is going to fire off the Play Rough and now send out the Jellicent. All this Lapras energy immediately invalidated. It could have hit for neutral on the Tinkaton, but now it is going to be fully resisted by the Jellicent. So this turn of events is going amazingly for Pato. Pato going to be hit with another Sparkling Aria, but he's completely in the driver's seat here. He has Golisopod in the back, and the third for Boria is Feraligatr. We've seen before, that is not a matchup that Feraligatr wants to be in. No baits here from Pato. He's full sending the Shadow Ball to guarantee the knockout. Boria is going to elect to let this go. Down goes the Lapras, and this is an awkward health range for Borya to deal with. He's going to send in the Feraligatr. Feraligatr is going to take quite a lot of damage here. Jellicent is going to make the Shadow Ball. There's a switch and a catch attempt onto Jumpluff, but Pato is able to hold on to his energy, send in Tinkaton, and Tinkaton is able to make the play rough. Now this matchup is an unfortunate one for Jumpluff. Shadow Jumpluff will get knocked out by 2 play roughs plus the Fairy Winds, whereas double Acrobatics plus Fairy Winds will not KO because everything Jumpluff throws is resisted. Even though Tinkaton has already taken some damage in this matchup, it's still not going to get knocked out by the next Acrobatics. Pato Man is over farming here, playing to the CMP tie against the Jumpluff. Borya is going to let this go. So Borya is putting his tournament hopes on the back of his trusty Feraligatr. Feraligatr farming up a ton of energy, no pun intended, and he's unleashing Hydro Cannon at Tinkaton. Tinkaton is going to be committing the shield. Tinkaton going to look to continue to farm. Another Hydro Cannon is reached. Pato expending all shields that he has in the game on this low health Tinkaton. He needs to try and strip away the shields from the Feraligatr. Going for the play rough, full sending here. Borya debating, should he call a Bulldoze bait? No, he shields at the last second, and he does get that shield call correct. Tinkaton staying in this matchup. Tinkaton is too bulky. It cannot be farmed down. Feraligatr is forced to throw energy, and Pato is completely in the driver's seat of this game. If you remember, he stored the Shadow Ball on Jellicent from earlier. He did not let it get caught. Borya is going to shield, and now in the zero shield, this is Golisopod's game to win. Golisopod hits the field, and we see the smile from Borya as he knows this game has concluded. So Pato Man brought the Tinkaton both games in winter semifinals against Borya, benched it for 4 games, hoping maybe to throw him off, but in the decisive game number 5, Tinkaton finds its target in Jumpluff and earns Pato Man a trip to the grand finals. All in all, I was extremely impressed by Tinkaton's performance at this tournament, as Tinkaton would end up taking home both the gold and silver medals in this tournament, with HK Assassin taking home the gold and Pato Man taking home the silver. And considering it was at the very top of day 2 usage, I think Tinkaton is going to be around for quite some time to come. Usually it can take a regional or two for battlers to really get a handle of a Pokemon and really kind of understand how it works and be able to use it to its best ability. But it seems that Tinkaton arrives day 1 as an immediate meta contender for the Pokemon Go Championship Series, and the day 2 usage proves it. This Pokemon, bringing it on your team, is a winning strategy. The next tournament is actually going to be this upcoming weekend in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I'm incredibly excited to see what North America's take is on this new Tinkaton meta. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, my name is Home Slice Henry, and this is More Slice Henry, my second channel. We actually recently hit 5,000 subscribers over here, which is incredibly cool. So thank you to each and every one of you for tuning into this content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.